The chair recognizes Mr. Gohmert for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the witnesses being here. I've been watching from television the testimony. I want to follow up on what Mr. Congressman Stauber was talking about, Mr. Bim. You know, my understanding when the national forests were conceived and created, there was an agreement with local government to give up their land that they would no longer be able to tax, and the agreement would result in the federal government managing the forest. Now, in East Texas, where I live, we got a couple of national forests. We don't have any redwoods. We don't have any sequoias. Those are absolute treasures that we need to protect. We got pine trees. They're one of the greatest renewable resources in this country. I'd encourage more people to use pine. It's just a terrific renewable resource. And we get full use out of every part of every pine tree. But I've seen the numbers. Sabine County, for example, a very rural county, San Augustine, they rely heavily on, since so much of their county are national forest, they rely on what is produced by the National Forest Service. I have constant complaints from those counties, Sabine County, San Augustine County, Shelby County, that the Forest Service, they consider the forest to be their personal woods. They don't mind letting culverts fall into disrepair so people can't get into them. They don't mind seeing use diminish by people wanting to have access and use our national forests. And they certainly have dropped production down to a fraction of what it once was. Sabine County, for example, they've shown me the numbers back in the 1980s. They're 25% of the Forest Service production off their county's land was around $1.4 to $1.6 million, which helped them tremendously with their schools and their local government. I see that last year Sabine County had gotten, well, I guess it was 2016, but they'd gotten around $36,000. That doesn't hardly keep a school going. It doesn't hardly keep a local government able to even put asphalt in the potholes. So I made great strides. I'll tell you, I made great strides in pushing the former chairman toward giving back some of those lands so it can be taxed, it can be productive, because the National Forest Service is destroying, is killing schools, it's killing the counties, it's killing the local government, and something has to be done. And I realize it will probably take Republicans getting back in the majority, but something's got to be done, and either we need to produce those renewable resources that are such a wonderful, what some of us consider a gift of God for East Texas, or we got to give the land back, at least a big part of it, some of it, so that the counties, the schools can survive. Who suffers? The kids in the schools do. They should not have to suffer in the schools as a result of the National Forest Service, at least the local folks considering the forest to be their own instead of the gift to the local residents as it should be, and actually to all the country. So I am going to sign on to Stauber's bill. I think it's a great idea. I'm sorry it's an inconvenience to the bureaucrats to go back to a lottery, but we got to get, that's the point of having federal land, so people can enjoy it. And if they can't enjoy it, it needs to go to somebody that can. And so we need a lottery there, and we either need the National Forest Service to get back to using the land, or we need to get it in the hands of somebody that can. You have a quick comment?
Yes, sir. So
I'll give the gentleman, since you were pretty directly invoked in those comments, please take 30 seconds to respond if you would.
thank you very much, Ranking Member. Yes, sir. So yes, we'd be pleased to work with you and Congressman Stauber certainly on the situation on the Boundary Waters Canoe area. We recognize that what happened in January was not acceptable to anyone, and it's not about being an inconvenience to us. We're absolutely want to put a system in place that works for everyone. So we'd be happy to work with you on that. And Mr. Stauber, as regards to National Forest and grasslands in Texas, I'm very familiar with that, sir. My normal job is Deputy Regional Forester in the southern region in Atlanta. And so what's happening in Texas actually is they've been increasing their harvest, but they're using stewardship contracting as opposed to regular sales, and that is impacting 25% payments to county. So I'd be happy to have a broader
I'd like to see
conversation.
that change too, but thank you for your indulgence.